Habs fans, I am very, very sorry. I missed out on the majority of the game last night. I had play-by-play hockey. I'm calling the Junior B Richmond Sockeyes PJHL team. I'm the main play-by-play guy for that squad. So I missed out on what was an eventual Habs loss, where the Carolina Hurricanes won in a shootout. However, I wanted to talk about the prospects. In particular, the guy who I labeled as the number one Montreal Canadiens prospect in my video a few days ago. Let's get into Cole Caufield and his plan. Check out this article from lapresse.ca. Cole Caufield va jouer à Montréal dès avril. Yeah, he wants to play with the Montreal Canadiens in April. That's the plan right here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's scroll down and check out one of these quotes over here by Cole Caufield. Let's just read it right ahead in English. My goal, it's to join the Canadiens at the end of the season if the team qualifies for the playoffs. Cole Caufield may be a Habs sooner than we think. Now, this is a topic that I haven't actually gone in depth with. I've talked about Cole Caufield and how he was amazing at the USNTDP, and I talked about Cole Caufield and how he's going to be amazing with the Wisconsin Badgers. And I also talked about Caufield and how he's going to be amazing when he's in his prime, at least if everything goes right. But one thing I haven't talked about with Caufield is his immediate plan. When does he make the NHL? Caufield, by the time April rolls around, I doubt he's going to be physically mature enough by traditional standards to be in the league. He'll still probably be 5'7", he might be 5'8", and his weight may get up there to about 170 if things go right. However, that's not the traditional NHL frame, and I think everybody kind of knows that. But when you're a 5'7" elite goal-scoring talent like Caufield is, you shove your hands in the face and down the throat of adversity like that, because you're able to defy all odds. Cole Caufield is a guy who I mentioned has the best track record of a USNTDP goal scorer ever, and he's averaged over a goal a game for the past few seasons. That's something completely special here. And if a guy like that, who totally dominates the Wisconsin Badgers next season, comes to Montreal in the playoffs, then I just can't stop getting giddy about thinking about that. Seriously, if the Montreal Canadiens are good enough to make the playoffs, and they do that, and they add a guy like Caufield into the lineup in the springtime, can you imagine the damage that Cole Caufield would be able to do? Caufield, in my opinion, is already one of the best goal scorers in the NCAA this season. The trio of K'Andre Miller, Alex Turcotte, and Cole Caufield, they're going to be so good for Wisconsin, and they're arguably the best big three in NCAA hockey. You could even add Dylan Holloway in there and make it a big four. These young guys are going to tear up the college ranks, and Cole Caufield is going to be one of the more impactful players in that role. In the last 13 years, taking a look at U20 goal scorers in the NCAA, the best here is Kyle Connor, who got 35 goals in 38 games played in his freshman season for the University of Michigan. Do I think Cole Caufield can get over 35 goals this year? I think he probably can. I think he's got a ceiling of about 40. And some of the guys on this list here, Brock Boeser, Riley Smith, Jack Eichel. Okay, Eichel was 17. Ben Smith, Nathan Gerbe, Bjugstad. I think Cole Caufield has a better goal-scoring ability than all of these guys. And that includes Brock Boeser. So, for me to take a look at this and say realistically that I could see Caufield getting upwards of 40 goals, it's crazy to look at the potential here. Sure, he's not going to be playing with Jack Hughes, but you got to be good enough to play with Jack Hughes in general, right? And Jack Hughes himself was joking around saying, yeah, the only reason I got so many assists was because I was playing with a guy like Caufield. And obviously that's hyperbole. We all know that Jack Hughes is the best center in the draft, but Caufield is the sniper. He is the goal scorer. He is the guy who can get goals at will. And if this guy can go over to the University of Wisconsin, get 40 goals, maybe get a goal a game. Maybe if he only gets 30, that's fine too. But seriously, only one player, U20, in the last 13 years has gotten over 30, and that was Kyle Connor. So if he could at least beat out Riley Smith, I think he can do that. But, oh boy, joining the Canadiens in the playoffs. That sounds amazing. Now let's take a look at the possibilities here. Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Drouin. What if you slot in an elite sniper like Caulfield with those two? Yesterday against the Hurricanes, Jonathan Drouin's game was pretty evident to being solid. It's just that the playmaking didn't have the finishers. His play and his nice passes and all that, they weren't really put in the net, let's just say, by the other Montreal Canadiens. But Jesperi Kotkaniemi is a guy who has that reputation as well. A guy who's an elite playmaker, who can set up some really good passes. Imagine them having Cole Caulfield. Oh boy. Oh boy. That's not to disrespect the other guys who are on the Montreal Canadiens lineup, but it's just right now. Cole Caulfield, in my opinion, has the best offensive visioning out of all the Habs forwards. I think he's the best goal scorer out of all of them too. You could say Tatar is better because Tatar is Tatar, but like, Caulfield and the way he projects is going to be better than that. As long as everything else goes right. I think all of his tools are so strong right now. It's just the whether or not he's going to translate, and whether or not his physical maturity is going to allow him to succeed at the NHL as he has in the past in previous leagues. That's the only question here. I really believe that. Craig Button said it himself. When a guy is as good at scoring goals as Cole Caulfield is, you don't measure him by a tape measurer. You measure him by the amount of talent he has. If he was the size of my cell phone taller, he probably would have gone top 4, top 5 in the draft. That's how good this player is, and he was taken 15th overall. Take a look at this other quote here from Cole Caulfield in that same article. I'm gonna read it in English. I saw what Cale Makar did last year with the Colorado Avalanche. It was his second year at the University of Massachusetts. I'm aware of it. Cale Makar had an immediate effect when he arrived in Colorado. That is something I would like to do. But I have to show that in the first place, I'm a first-round choice. Caulfield is a humble kid. He's still going off about whether or not he was a first-round guy, and he's saying that before he proves himself with the Habs in the playoffs, he needs to prove that he was a first-round pick in general. And I think he's going to do that. I think for sure he's going to do that. Who cares if you're 5'7"? Take a look at Sean Doogie. The guy's 5'3". He's my height, and he was still able to produce at the NCAA level last season. Cole, you got nothing to worry about, man. He's really good. Really darn good. And I think there's just so much to look forward to with Alex Turcotte, with K'Andre Miller, with Dylan Holloway at the University of Wisconsin. Caulfield is going to be so good. And if he's as good as a Cale Makar was last year in the playoffs, then, oh boy, we have a crazy good player. Let's just go over the potential one more time. I talked about this in my top 10 Habs prospects video. I got a minute left on the gameplay. Let's fill it out. Caulfield legitimately has Rocket Richard winning potential. He's got that. It's rare that I look at a player straight out of an NHL draft and say, this guy has the potential to lead the league in goals. Caulfield has that potential. Laine had that potential. You could argue that Kaliev has that potential too, but his work ethic related issues held him back from being drafted much higher in the draft. Even guys in the other drafts, like Brock Besser, I can't say he's guaranteed to win a Richard one day. And I love Brock Besser. I'm a Vancouver homer. But I can't say he has that potential. Austin Matthews, he probably has that potential because his goal scoring ability is so rare for a center in the NHL. A year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I would have said Zadina probably has that potential, but I don't really know anymore. To me, it's just Caulfield. Caulfield is the only guy who I can say has that potential and not sound silly about it. Oh, he's going to be so good. He's going to be really, really good. And if he comes, the sooner, the better, because Caulfield with Kotkaniemi and Drouin in the playoffs sounds like a treat. Comment down below what you think. The gameplay is coming to an end here. Hope you enjoyed this video. So there's 9, and bye.